So I went on a deep mummy dive. I watched 3 classic mummy movies, the 1932, 1959, and 1999 versions. But I didn't stop there. I went on to watch a 4th mummy movie, one that's a bit off the beaten path, and honestly, I kind of liked it. But let's save that one for the end. And the reason for all of this? Well, I was struggling to decide what I wanted to be for Halloween. I shrugged and thought, maybe I'll be a mummy. Then I thought, well, if I'm going to dress as a mummy, I should do a little research first. I'd seen the 1999 version, but what other mummy films were out there? And were any of them actually scary? Let's dive into this. I started with the 1932 Mummy, directed by Karl Freund and starring Boris Karloff as Imhotep. Honestly, I loved it. It's simple, focused, and the limitations of filmmaking at the time worked in its favor. The $196,000 budget, which is about $4 million today, forced the filmmakers to rely on lighting, atmosphere, and restraint over effects. And to me, that restraint is what gives it power. The black and white cinematography creates a dreamlike quality. The lack of color to me gave it a timeless, eerie feel. Beyond Karloff's incredible performance, the 1932 Mummy was groundbreaking in its technical achievements. It was one of the first films to use back projection, basically placing actors in scenes, blending them seamlessly into the setting without them physically being there. Another technical marvel was the disintegration scene, which was a special effect ahead of its time. Next up, Hammer Studios' 1959 Mummy, directed by Terence Fisher. Hammer reimagined the story for a new era, and everything got bigger, brighter, and bloodier. With a similar budget of about $200,000, they traded subtlety for spectacle. The Technicolor palette is really striking. There's golden sands, crimson robes, teal tombs. I think it's stunning to look at. You could say this version walks the line between love and vengeance. It's a reflection of the late 50s, when horror was becoming louder, more colorful, and less restrained. To me, it's not as haunting as the 1932 film, but it does have its own operatic beauty. It's just a tragic, colorful nightmare. Then came The Mummy in 1999, directed by Stephen Sommers. The budget was a staggering $80 million. This film was fun. But for me, something was missing. The eerie stillness and that space for the unknown. I think what the budget gave us in scale, it took away in atmosphere. But to be fair, I do have to see it through the lens of 1999. This was the Indiana Jones era, where audiences wanted adventure more than existential dread. And as a product of its time, it delivers exactly that. And because I was having so much fun watching these mummy movies, I actually decided to add in an encore. And I watched Blood from the Mummy's Tomb, which was shot in 1971. It's weird, occult, and a little uneven, but I actually liked it. It's less about bandages and curses, and more about possession and psychological horror.
Shall cease to exist in the minds of man, as she has ceased to exist in life.
It was also made by Hammer Studios, and you can feel Hammer trying to modernize the mummy myth, to bring it into the realm of dreams and madness. It's not perfect, but it is an interesting step forward toward reinterpreting the story for a new era. So after watching all these versions of The Mummy, I started to see some bigger patterns. You see, at their core, mummy movies are not about monsters. They're about love and obsession. You can see it in every version. It's about the idea that no matter how much we love, no matter how much we want to hold on to the past, time keeps moving forward. And that constant drive to resurrect something can have destructive consequences. It's like the ultimate lesson in hubris. The more we try to control time, death, or memory, the more we end up losing ourselves in the process. The mummy myth works because it taps into the things we fear the most. It's not about a physical monster that lumbers after you. It's about something deeper. The idea of disturbing the past, and the psychological consequences of resurrecting what's meant to stay buried. I can't help but think about the future of the mummy. Where does this myth go from here? Because while the classic mummy stories hold up in their own way, the horror of the mummy myth doesn't really seem to be present anymore. And the more I reflect on it, the more I think about how the story needs to evolve. Today's audiences are looking for psychological horror and existential dread. They want something more cerebral than just a monster chase. So what if the next mummy movie wasn't about physical resurrection, but about the resurrection of a long-forgotten trauma or history? What if it focused on the psychological unraveling of a character or a group of people who disturb an ancient tomb, only to discover that it's not just the mummy they've awakened, but something far darker and more personal? I think that's where the real horror lies today. And here's my costume. After all that research, I figured there's no better way to wrap up this deep dive into mummy lore than dressing the part. I didn't go too crazy, but I'm definitely getting into the spirit. But now, I want to hear from you. What's your favorite mummy movie, and why? Is it the atmospheric tension of the 1932 original, the action-packed adventure of the 1999 version, or something else entirely? Drop a comment below, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for sticking with me on this journey through mummy cinema. Whether you're revisiting the classics or diving into the myth for the first time, I hope this video gives you a new perspective. Alright, I'll catch you in the next one.